Hey guys. All right, we're ready. Again, make sure you have measuring spoons, salt. I have about a cup, a measuring glass, fresh water, something to make labels with, and a writing utensil. Food coloring again for fun. 3 fresh eggs, not hard boiled. And 3 glasses or plastic cups that you can see through preferably. And yes, that's my dog motto. Hopefully he doesn't interrupt the entire video. All right, so the first step, if you're looking at the worksheet, says label the glasses 1, 2, and 3 so that you can keep track of your diagrams and what you've done to each glass. Okay, so that step was simple. Second step, we're going to fill the glasses with the same amount of water. Now, I just used 250 milliliters of water. This is a cup, so you can find this in your cupboard and measure a cup of glass for each one. Same amount. Again, it doesn't really matter, but I would keep it about a cup, maybe a little more. You want to make sure that the egg can sink, okay? So make sure you're using enough. All right, step 3. Add 4 teaspoons to glasses 2 and 3. Now this time you don't need to level. They can be heaping. It doesn't matter like it did in the lab we did yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do the same thing for number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it wouldn't hurt to have something to stir with either. I just happen to have this plastic knife. You want to get this to dissolve as much as possible. So go ahead and stir these for a little bit. And then our next step is carefully place an egg in glass number 1. Now remember, these are fresh eggs, not hard-boiled, so be very careful. This is the first time I'm doing this, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't crack it. Okay, now keep in mind you're going to be doing data on these, so you're going to have a glass on your picture, and you need to draw the egg in the water and show where the egg is in the cup. Stir these again. Also write a caption. Draw the particles of the egg versus the particles in the water. Remember, keep in mind, which one is more dense? If the object is more dense, it's going to have more particles in the same amount of space. So you'll want to show them more densely packed, but I'm not going to tell you which one in the water or the egg. All right, let's go to number 7. Place an egg in glass number 2. See what happens. Aha, something different. Okay, record your observations for figure 2. Remember to include the particles in the egg and the particles in the glass. Keep in mind, the thing that is the most dense is going to have more particles in the same space. All right. Again, you can stop the video to do your observations and then turn it back on. Now we're going to place an egg in glass 3. We should see the same results because they both have 4 teaspoons of salt. Then add 2 drops of food coloring to some fresh water. Again, this is not required. You can do this without it, but it's easier to see the fresh water from the salt water. Okay. Again, I'll stir this to speed this up. And I think I'm going to look for a material here that you may have sitting around your house that might make this more accurate. Sorry guys, thought I had a turkey baster, but I don't see it. Okay, I'm going to move this off to the side a little bit. Now, you want to do this slowly. Pour the fresh water slowly on top of the salt water. And let's see what happens to the egg and the fresh water. Ooh. So far you can see the fresh water sitting on top of the salty water. And I'm not eye level, so I can't really see what's happening to the egg, but it looks like the egg is starting to partially sink / float. I would recommend not doing this on a pretty tablecloth. You might get yourself in trouble. Think about the density of the fresh water versus the salt water, and think about the egg's density between the two. When you draw your picture, when you show the salt water, the fresh water, and the egg, make sure you include the particles in each to let me know that you understand which is more dense out of the three and which is the least dense. If you're trying to show something more dense, have a lot more particles in the same amount of space as you do the object that's the least dense. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So, as you can see, we were able to make the egg sink in number 1, float in number 2, and partially float and sink in number 3. See if you can come up with diagrams and captions to explain why this happened in each one of these glasses. And then let me know if your hypothesis was correct. Remember, you don't need to go back and change it. Just make sure you restate the problem in the hypothesis. And in your conclusion, make sure you're restating the problem as well, because again, that is the purpose of the investigation. And this is to help me understand if you understand density before we move on to our energy unit. And don't forget, there are 3 questions looking to see if you remember what the words independent variable, dependent variable, and constant means when we talk about doing labs. All right, good luck.